Hello, it's Ernesto. So, I mentioned in the last few videos that I put up on this channel that I have recorded my score for the first time, and I'm going to be releasing that soundtrack in my very first soundtrack album very, very soon. The thing is though, I have no idea what I'm doing. So over the past couple of years, I've really improved in my mixing abilities. When I first was starting out, I looked up how to mix on YouTube and such, and I found a lot of really great videos on how to mix bands or hip-hop tracks or pop tracks and all of this, and nothing really specific that I could find at the time that was good for learning how to mix string instruments or woodwinds or percussion instruments and combining them with synthesizers. All of this I kind of had to discover for myself. So I'm going to link below some really good resources that I have found that I really like, that hopefully can help you out as well if you're having the same issues. Nonetheless, I still made sure to learn about EQs and compressors and all that good stuff that everyone should really know if you're trying to be a media composer like I am. And I think I have a pretty good understanding how to mix together a sample library. So with all of this knowledge, I've been able to mix together my soundtrack to a degree that I'm very happy with. The problem is that I know in order to release a soundtrack album, the last step towards that is the mastering phase. Now, I don't know any mastering engineers. I don't have the budget to go out and hire a person who does this professionally, so I have to fumble my way through and figure out how to do it myself. By the way, if you don't know what mastering is, it's the last step in the process of putting out and releasing a soundtrack or an album or a track as a single or whatever it is. Mixing as a process is having all of the individual tracks and putting them together in a nice cohesive way, and then mastering is getting the final audio track, just one track, and giving the final finishing touches to that. Maybe adding some more air, some presence, some coloration in there, whatever it is to make the final track shine a little bit more. And another important part of the mastering process is to bring up the levels to a loudness standard that you hear songs on the radio at. So anyway, in my research, I came across a very well-known piece of software by Isotope called Ozone 9. I got a free trial, ended up buying it for Black Friday, and have slapped it on all of my tracks in here. Speaking of Black Friday, I also took advantage of some other things. So this is the Shadow Hills Class A mastering compressor. I had a trial of the regular Shadow Hills mastering compressor. I really, really liked it. I got a trial of the Class A version. I liked it even more. And for Black Friday, I got a really, really sweet deal on it. I got it for like $40, which is a steal because it goes for like $300 or $50 retail, something like that. Also, before I go any further, and I know many of you are thinking it already, is my environment. So I have to address that. I am in a small, untreated bedroom in a dark, shadowy corner with my speakers on my desk, so I have to crouch low in order to get the tweeters to point in my ears. There's a window right here. It's just not a good listening environment, and I recognize that. It's just the best that I can do right now for where I am. So I have to make sure that I listen to my final masters in as many locations as I can through as many systems as I can. So my AirPods, car speakers, laptop speakers, the phone speakers, other kinds of headphones, whatever I can in order to get a good picture of what it's going to sound like on other people's systems once it actually goes out there into the world. Anyway, so back on these compressors. So this compressor specifically right here, I think it's upping the level a little bit here, optical gain. It's not hitting the discrete compressor. And other than that, I don't think it's actually hitting the compressor at all, but there are these transformers on here and you can change it from nickel, iron, and steel. Each one has a different harmonic color that it adds to the track. And so the steel transformer added a little kick in the bass and made it just sound a little warmer, and I really, really liked it for what the soundtrack is. This soundtrack is kind of dreary. It's not upbeat at all. It kind of sounds lonely and is supposed to be something that is perhaps not that pleasant to listen to. but I still think I wrote some pretty okay music. So most of these have the same kind of chain going through them. It starts with the Shadow Hills compressor, and then it hits ozone. Now in ozone, most of these have a similar equalizing band right here. A boost in the bass, cutting off a lot of the highs and lifting up those really upper highs. Then it goes through a multi-band compressor. It's just taming some of the bass frequencies that kind of build up. A dynamic EQ, this ozone set by itself, and I really like what it's doing, so I left it as is, and the maximizer just brings it up to the competitive levels that I was talking about earlier. By the way, if you're sitting at home cringing that I don't know what I'm doing, trust me, I also know that I don't know what I'm doing. I also have been having trouble with some bass frequencies popping up a little too much, and the multiband compressor in ozone wasn't doing quite enough, so I slapped this Pro MB on it. I really like this plugin. This is FabFilter's multiband compressor, and I really like it, and it works really well. So I added 2 bands here for this particular track for the bass frequencies. Now, if you were looking at all of this and you're not sure exactly what it means, I'm not going to explain it here because maybe you should go out and find a real credible source when it comes to mastering. I'm just kind of aiming at the dark and using my knowledge of this stuff to come up with something that I think sounds good to myself. So I just need to make final pass-throughs through each track, make sure that there are no anomalies, export it out and listen to it in as many sound sources as I can, including my car, and hopefully it'll be ready for prime time here very soon. So do stick around because I'd love for you all to listen to it and give me feedback on it. I really appreciate that a lot. So until next time, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Ernesto Composer. You can visit my website at ernestocomposer.com. Thanks so very much for watching, and as always, take care.